And we are live. Welcome back, everyone, to Is Your Six Covered and the X-Ring channel.
What is up?
Mr. Ray Mundo. So today we're going to talk a little bit about, I had a lot of questions. I don't know much about the 8.6 Blackout. Luckily, Ray's here to tell us a little bit of what he's learned over the past while. And I know you did some reloading today.
There it is.
All right. So anyways, we're going to have some fun today. If you got questions, maybe you guys aren't familiar with the 8.6. It is basically the same. Let's see if I said this right. The same person that kind of invented the 300 Blackout is the same person that invented the 8.6 Blackout, correct?
Yeah, kind of, but not really. So if you're a Wildcat guy and you were shooting 300 Whisper back in the day, because 300 Blackout or 300 AAC was something that was developed in conjunction with the AAC and Kevin Brittingham, who now is the owner of Q because he left AAC. I think that was bought out by Remington from him. But there were some cartridges that were very similar. Just like everybody hated the 300 Blackout in the beginning, it's pretty much a norm now. Everybody talks about 300 Blackout. Most everybody has one. You have a 300 Black?
I do not. I've been wanting one. For the simple fact is, when suppressed with subsonic, thing is amazing.
Correct. And you know the thing is you can't forget the fact that it's really, really good suppressed, but it's also a decent cartridge when you're shooting at supersonic. And the other thing about it is it's easy to convert any AR over. All you have to do is switch your barrel out. You're not messing with anything else, no magazines, no bolt face, nothing. You just drop in a new barrel. So let's take that and let's talk about its big brother, which is going to be the 8.6. Now, initially they were saying 8.6 Creedmoor, and I think it's officially now been adopted as 8.6 Blackout. So you're shooting a 338 bullet. This is a 275 grainer. This is one that I loaded today. And you've got a cartridge that you can suppress very, very well.
This is still on an AR-15 platform?
AR-10.
You have to run the 10.
Yeah, okay. Now we're going to the AR-10.
Because it's pretty short still.
Yeah, so if you have a 6.5 Creedmoor or 308, all you have to do is get an 8.6 barrel, put it on there, you are good to go. Now, its parent cartridge is 308/6.5 Creedmoor. So when you start seeing companies like Hornady making dies, you know it's going to go somewhere, okay? Just plain and simple, it is going to become mainstream or more commonplace. You have something that hits really, really hard and reliable feeding that'll fit in a regular 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor magazine. And it's pretty devastating at distance too, because with supersonics, I know that you can get some of these pushing 2,600 feet per second.
Okay, yeah, because I watched the video that you did last week or this last week, and when you were calling out your dope for, I think it was like 200 yards, it was 4.3 or something.
Yeah,
and I was like, dang.
Yeah, so that was shooting subsonic.
Yep.
Because you got to look at what you're trying to do there. You're trying to keep this thing super, super quiet. Yeah. And it really wasn't fair to compare it to that 300 PRC BNT, because that's the quietest rifle that I've pretty much ever shot. Yeah. And we're comparing it to that. I think if we would have compared it to an AR or a bolt gun with a standard conventional suppressor, I don't think there would have been that much of a difference. But that BNT is just ungodly quiet.
Yeah, that's a nice... Let's say hi to everybody real quick.
All right, let's go ahead and do that.
So first up, we got Mr. Jerry Parker in first place. CJ Johnson. Gagabytes 2022's there. Big countries in the house. We got Mr. Tony. Idaho Rogers USMC. And SoFlo Impact from Florida. And DW. You got a question about the AR-10 magazine?
No. DW, you cannot use... Can you use the same mag on an AR-10 as 300 Blackout? Yes, you'll use the same magazine, your 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor or 6 Creedmoor, whatever came with your AR-10, you will use that same magazine. There's no
for
difference.
300 Blackout.
No.
Or it's
No, I
for
think he's
6.8.
talking about the relationship of using the AR-15 with the 300 Blackout.
You can use an AR-10 magazine.
Correct.
For the 8.6.
Correct.
But if you're running a 300 Blackout, you can use basically the AR-15/5.56.
Oh, Idaho Rogers said he shot Kenny's rifle yesterday. It smacked 12-foot steels and 12-inch steels at 250 yards, no problem. The kicker was it's cast lead bullets. Yeah, so so this is the thing, guys.
Buddy D.
Yeah, there you go, DW. I know you're what you meant. So I went to Sportsman's Warehouse, and guys, those are all over the country. I know they're anywhere and everywhere.
That's an AR-10 one. Right?
Yeah, so here's an AR-10 one that Rick just pulled off the shelf, and
It's got rounds in it.
it has, let's see, I'm going to pull one out of here, and it has 308 rounds in it. So we're going to just put this ballistic tip in there. Fits perfectly. Doesn't need a
There's
spacer
little
or
room,
anything
actually.
else. Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice.
So yeah, it will work perfectly in there. So I went to Sportsman's Warehouse, and I was able to pick up 275 grainers from Hornady. Now, one of the things I had mentioned in the video is because of that crazy fast twist rate, the 1 and 3, and I didn't talk about this in the video. I mentioned it just a little bit.
You're hearing it here first.
But
Dun, dun, dun.
you guys have probably seen how 308s went from 111.25 to 111 to 1 and 10. You're seeing that companies are starting to play around with faster twist rates.
I was going to say, we're talking twist rates here.
Yes, we're talking with twist rates. So I guess when Faxon worked hand in hand with Kevin, they wanted to play around with that 1 and 3. And what they found out was it delivers a lot more energy on target. Now, I know it's not all about energy. There's a whole lot more to it. They did a bunch of ballistics gel tests, making sure that this would open at those subsonic velocities. And it's pretty devastating what it can do.
Well, you're taking a massive chunk of lead and copper.
Huge.
I mean, a big son of a gun.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I liked about the 300 Blackout.
Yeah. It hammers.
I mean, because you can get a 9mm suppress. It's nice and quiet, but it's still 100 and, depending on what bullet you're using, 47 grains or whatever. You know, and now you got this times, what's a Blackout? What's
Well,
a
if you're
grain
shooting
on it?
subsonic, about 200.
200, yeah. So you're basically doubling them, and you're getting so much more impact, so much more power.
Correct.
But now you're even going more,
Yeah.
and now you're really bringing it up. Would you say, while you're going through your dies, the 300 Blackout is comparable, both suppressed in subsonic ranges, sound-wise? Because you shot them both, but you know it's hard to really pick that out in a video.
Very, very comparable. This 8.6 is pretty darn quiet. Now, we also are using a 338 size can suppressor, so that's legal to hold. Here. You have a suppressor here, do you?
Not for a 338.
No, but I'm talking about
There's one.
can.
There's one on the Tika. Hold on, I gotta cover it out here. See right here, I painted my. Are you trying to take? This is my hand with paint. When you paint targets.
Okay.
And there we go.
So for those guys that don't have a lot of suppressors, or maybe your state's not legal, this is a very, very popular suppressor. This is the Thunder Beast. This is the Ultra 7. And this is not a large can, but it's a great precision rifle can. When you start getting into 338 territory, you're talking about a huge difference. So I got to be careful on how I say
Comparable.
it's comparable because we're using
There's a lot
bigger
more
muffler.
volume. Yeah.
Correct. Now, that being said, one of the things we're going to do probably this week is we ran some, Kenny and I ran some numbers on quick load and shooting the load, and I'll share all that load data with you. We're only looking at 27,000 on the pressure.
What is it?
About 27,000 or so, right?
On the action.
Guess what? The R² K9 can handle it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put
Isn't the diameter of that bigger though?
No, 0.338, and then a 9mm can is 0.35, and plus you've got clearance on both sides.
I'm talking about the 8.6.
What about it?
That's fatter, isn't it?
No.
Okay, I did not know. This is the same size as a 9mm ish. Smaller.
A little smaller.
Yeah, smaller. Okay.
I don't know. You got a 9mm bullet? Go get a set of calipers.
Yeah, I got a 9mm. Shit.
All right, so we can find out for sure. So I has accuracy issues with 300 Blackout Subsonics. Okay, so that can be the case depending on the ammunition that you're shooting. You really want to take your time getting those paired up, because I have a 300 Blackout that just shoots incredibly accurate. And it's one of the things when I was working on load development today. So you can take a standard 6.5 case, size it with the sizing die here, and it's going to end up looking really funky like this. Okay. Let's see if I can focus in on that. There you go. So it's going to have a really, really long neck on it, and you're going to have to trim that back. Okay.
So that's before trimming.
Before trimming. This is a 6.5 Creedmoor. You can use 308 as well, but 6.5 Creedmoor works better. Just a little easier to size, and you're going to have this really long neck. And what we're doing is opening that up to that 338 diameter. So what do you have on the diameter of the bullet once he zeroes out? He's measuring a 9mm right now.
353.
Yeah, there you go.
And this is
because you buy a .354 bullet.
337.
Yep. So a 9mm is actually fatter around in diameter. Actually, the diameter is larger than a 338 Lapua. But you're also talking about a bullet that is by itself. Let's hold that 9mm up to this 338.
It's 350. Which way? This way?
No. Hold it in your hand, and you're going to see that the 338 Lapua bullet is actually bigger.
Oh yeah, it's bigger than
it's bigger than the whole cartridge. So you're slinging 275 grains
of madness
down range. You don't have to have, force equals mass times acceleration. And so this is a lot of mass. Okay?
So we're thinking this might work in an R squared.
Yeah, the pressures will work. So should be fun. We'll try it out.
Yeah. I know where we can get one of those.
Once you size that, then all you do is you just trim the neck down. Okay. And it's going to depend on your rifle. I think I trimmed down to 1.628 or somewhere in there. And then got this, and I was shooting for 1,000 feet per second. That was the magic number I wanted to be at. It's about 1,000 feet per second. Not 1,100 or anything like that. And that load right there should work. Now, when it comes to powders, you might have a little bit of a hard time getting powders. You can use like 4198. H110. You can also do like CFE black. Any of the powders like that should work, and the charge is really small.
How is opening this up from a 6.5?
It's rather difficult.
So a lot of case lube.
You don't have to put a ton of case lube on it, but you're really opening that thing up.
Did you crack any shoulders?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Now, what I'm saying is it's a lot of pressure on your mount. You don't want little tiny wood screws where you just wanted to put it in there on your desk. You want bolts in there.
Yeah.
And it's not so much on the downstroke. It's when you're pulling the expander ball back out.
Yeah.
It does take a lot of force even with lube on there. So let's see.
How could you compare the 12.25mm 50 caliber Beowulf? That's actually a good question because that's pretty. That's mass wise. Can't remember what a 50 Beowulf comes in at.
Yeah, I've shot the Beowulf quite a bit actually.
It's like a damn slug.
Yeah, it's a big slug.
It's a good door knocker.
It kicks pretty hard. But just think we can load this up supersonic and be hitting, that 2,600 feet per second. That's pretty darn impressive with a bullet this large. Yeah, see, Idaho Rogers knows. Who needs a can or silencer or suppressor? It's a can. Hold your breath. You'll be fine.
He's from the UK.
Oh, got it. A Mystic X suppressor will shoot 8.6. Nice. Will it blow out on diameter on the breech, but will it hold on targets? But will it blow out on diameter on the breech, but will it hold when it target out the end of the muzzle velocity? I
don't know what he's saying.
Does
rephrase the question again.
Low grain qual to a high potassium nitrate lead.
Load.
Okay. I have to
I
figure
don't
that
know.
out. The Gagabyte's typing quickly.
He is typing quickly.
But either way, the build that Kenny did was pretty awesome. I've never used one of these Koger arms actions, and it is really, really smooth. There's a lot of detail on this bolt here. I know the camera's not focusing.
It's pretty badass.
It does have a replaceable bolt face, very similar to like the Savage or even the Barrett has that.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very smooth action.
I like how looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. We didn't really let's kind of start from the beginning of something. So how long has this cartridge been around that you know of?
Oh, it's new. It's very new.
Okay.
I think Kevin started working on it a couple of years ago, and a lot of people are saying, well, this is no different than the 338 Federal, which the 338 Federal has been around for quite some time when you get on all these Wildcats. But the biggest thing is when things start getting standardized. Now, my understanding is the 8.6 does not have SAMI standards yet, but I'm sure it's coming, just like 300 Blackout.
Do you know
it
anything?
Took a while, but
was it designed around a military format or hunting or just suppressed or
just to fill a need, more than likely. Knowing Kevin, how he's attached to everything, there was probably a request for something like this. That's what I would guess.
Because now you got big lead, super quiet if you're running it subsonic. I could see it being used in certain applications for sure.
Yeah, Brad H74, you are exactly correct. It's a 308 6.5 Creedmoor case. And I was going through that a minute ago with the dies that are already available from a couple companies, but even Hornady's doing it in 8.6 black. These are available now, of course, because I've got them. And you just take a 6.5 Creedmoor case, you size it. You're going to have a long neck. You're going to have to trim that back. You'll trim it back to where it looks something like this. And then the loaded case is going to be
it looks just like a fat 300 Blackout.
Yeah, really fat. The other thing, too, guys, is I lost my train of thought. It's all right. Don't normally do that.
They'll come back.
I had a brain fart.
He's old.
I'm getting old. No, there was something I was going to hit on the point. Oh, yeah, the powder charge. So loading subsonic, I was able to get 800 feet per second pretty easy with like 13 grains, shooting like 41.98.
13 grains?
Oh, yeah. So
wow,
this right here
nothing.
is 15 grains, and that's 1,000 feet per second. That's 15 grains.
So the bonus is less powder.
A lot less powder.
Like a lot.
Like full charge, max charge is 19.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's
going
around
to be
3,000?
No. You're not going to get 3,000. I think 2,600, depending on the weight of the bullet.
Yeah.
The fastest we'll probably be able to push this 275 would be a little over 2,000 feet per second. Get him a Diet Coke. I got the Diet Coke.
Yeah, he's got it in there. I've been killing those slightly sweet teas, and they've been good. My favorite firearm is
the GEC
7.6
NATO. No, the Silver Fox got too much know-how. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep a train of thought.
It's tough and I keep asking questions. Yeah, I don't have any experience. Never shot this.
Oh, you didn't have a chance to shoot it yet.
No,
we're gonna shoot it this week.
The video, it made me go, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Anything that shoots big lead, suppressed, and super quiet has a lot of options available for it.
I will tell you, shooting the ammunition that I had 40 pieces.
Did you talk about bonded yet? Sorry.
No, I didn't.
So
you definitely want to use a bonded bullet with that 1 and 3 twist. I do know that Kenny had an experience where he used a load that was bad data from Faxon, and what happened was the bullet, because it wasn't bonded, actually separated as soon as it left the muzzle inside of his suppressor, which destroyed the inside of the suppressor, and they're fixing it as we speak. I think you got an RA on that. So you definitely want to use a bonded bullet in that case, or like a solid. There's already a company, I think Maker Bullets is doing 350 grain solids. We might spin some up at the office and make some 300 grainers and machine those ourselves.
So what's the benefit to the 1 and 3? Being able to run a short,
open up the back door and shoot the ground.
running running that fast twist rate like that, is it where you can run a shorter barrel like a 300 Blackout and still run Subsonics, so you have a nice short,
very short
package?
Yeah.
I know that's not going
to go that's not going to go well.
But that's the reason. In order to get the velocity, you got to run a 1 and 3 to get some speed out of it.
You're going to run the 1 and 3, help stabilize it, adds more energy on target. Somebody said practical application. Buddy D, it's going to be everything from taking out large game. I do know that there's already some articles. Apparently there was a lion or something that had been kicked out of the.
Did you say a lion?
A lion that had been kicked out of the what do you call it?
A zoo?
No, not the zoo. What do you call it when you have a big thing of lions? A pride got kicked out of the pride, and they needed to euthanize it. I think one was taken with an 8.6. It'll be able to take down some big game. So everything from large game to you name it, a very short package. I think it's pretty practical.
George Wilson. That's right, buddy. Let's see. Yeah, because I just think it'd be an amazing round.
Yeah. Sure. Sometimes a small package packs a big punch.
That's right.
That's right.
George Wilson's got it right.
I really like Kevin's work. I changed my 300 Blackout barrel to a 1 and 5, so I'm really excited about this 8.6. I pushed my new 300 Blackout out to 900 yards. Incredible. And that's exactly it, Marvin, because you're going to be able to do the same thing with this 8.6. I think, okay, so the reason he's not on here commenting is Kenny is out right now
testing something,
trying to push the envelope of cast lead bullets, not even using something like these. And I think he's going to try to push those out to long range using Supersonics. I'm not sure. He's supposed to report back, but he's at the range right now.
Gotcha.
It's all about kinetic energy. Yep. A reversed baffle system, my idea.
For suppress?
Well, I don't know. Reverse baffle system is what the Silencer Co. switchback uses when you rotate the other one. Rotate the end piece around. It uses a reverse baffle system.
I think it's 2. Faxon is the only barrel manufacturer as of now. Yeah, there's actually, I saw something Faxon was doing, and I got an email through them on the barrel, on an 8.6 barrel.
Yeah, now this is the part that you guys aren't going to like. If you buy one of the barrels, like for a bolt action, it is, it's not set up for a rimmage. You can use your AR-15 armorer's wrench to be able to put it into your action. That's a pretty trick that you can just grab your armorer's wrench and tighten it up onto your action and build one. It doesn't take long to build one. But the bad part is the threading on the end is non-standard. It has some funky, it's not even a 5H24. So that was
on
actually.
On the end that you would run a suppressor?
Yeah, that threading is completely different. So that was actually cut back, cut off.
Just get rid of
Kenny, and I had Kenny threaded up to 5H24.
That's why it's so short.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. 900 yards with an 8-inch barrel. Well, that's the bonus too. If you're running, what'd you say, 2,600, you're going to lose some velocity, but with the 1 and 3 twist, I'm just wondering what the dope would be for like 800-yard shot.
Oh, it'd be a lot.
Yeah,
because a whole lot. Just like Abigail said, 900 yards with an 8-inch barrel. Yeah, that's a long ways with an 8-inch barrel. It can be done. It can be done. That's I think that's a 12.
12?
Yeah, that's 12-inch barrel.
Gotcha. That's perfect size with a can on it.
Yeah, Joe Bob is another company that will have the barrels. Yeah, there's going to be a ton of companies jump on this bandwagon. I think you're going to see quite a bit, actually. But I just wanted to get into reloading it today and see, because I ran out of that factory ammo. And reloading it is actually very simple. I mean, when you're dealing with smaller charges like that, I mean, you're really not going to, as long as you're doing your part.
And now you got a reason to use 6.5.
I got tons of 6.5 brass.
I know.
And it likes the Hornady brass a lot. So
I just have
pretty easy to do.
Quite a bit of that.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat little cartridge for sure.
I like it. Looking forward to shooting it. I'm looking forward to trying it out in the R² K9.
You don't have a dry erase, do you?
I have the Board of Wisdom.
Board of Wisdom.
The Board of Wisdom. If you guys don't know what the Board of Wisdom is.
It was called the Whiteboard of Knowledge back in the day.
Yeah. Now it's called the Board of Wisdom.
I don't know. We don't have a Sharpie, do we?
Yeah, we do. We don't want a Sharpie. We want this red one right here.
A red one. So did you see Chris Simmons? Do we have any long range shooters in here? We only have 42. So I'm sure we have some long range shooters. Got me thinking about something. Did you see Chris Simmons' post today?
I saw the post.
You did see the post. Well, you want to fill in everybody on what that post was about?
It's basically a test. It's like a rifle craft. Basically, you take, most people will shoot rifles only prone, and they say, oh, my rifle shoots, let's just call it a minute of angle. And then what you do is you use that same rifle, same person, and now you go into different positions. And what you're trying to do is accomplish that same 1 MOA or smaller within a certain distance, say 100 yards, but positional shooting.
Okay. And that's what the Facebook post was about by Chris Simmons. But inside of that, he said too many people spend too much time on the bench rather than working on what matters, meaning, basically the positional portion. And I see this time and time again where guys will just spend so much time working on that perfect load, and ever since you ever got into it, I mean, we were out there shooting, I'd shoot a group. If it was 3/4, I'm like, good enough. How many times you hear me say that?
Yep.
It's like, good enough. Could I make that rifle shoot a half? Probably. But there's a saying, is the climb worth the view? So, we're not bench rest shooting here. We're doing ruck style matches. We're doing PRS and everything else. But this was something that I wanted to convey. You guys might have already thought about it, but a lot of people don't think about things this way. So you get the guy that's hunting for that 1/4 minute rifle. Those are hard to find. There's very few of those. Okay. Just because you did a 1/4 inch group once does not mean you have a 1/4 inch rifle. What that means is on any given day, you can take 5 shots, 10 shots out of this given rifle, and your group will never measure bigger than a .25. So those rifles are few and far between. Very, very few and far between.
Yeah, and don't sell it.
As a matter of fact, what's that?
I said, and don't sell it.
And don't sell it. Yeah, exactly. And then you got the group that says, well, I got a rifle that'll shoot .5s all day long. It's a half minute. Brian Litz actually said anybody that says they have a 1/4 inch rifle, it's probably a 3/4 inch rifle in reality.
Yeah. Consistently
on any given day. And we're not talking about doing this at 900 yards or anything. We're just talking about 100 yards. But let's say you're one of the lucky few that happen to get a Wednesday build rifle and all the planets lined up, and your rifle
and your ammo's spot on,
and your ammunition that you hand load for. Let's say it shoots a 1/4 inch group. Okay. That's 1/4 inch roughly. And then you have this guy over here who just bought his factory Tika T3X, and he's shooting, Hornady ELDX. And on any given day, he has a 1 minute rifle. So you got the guy here with the 1/4 inch rifle, and then the guy here with the MOA rifle. Okay. And you guys that have followed the channel know I've always said minute is good enough. If you're good enough and you've practiced your positions, that's good enough to win any match.
The thing is, can you hold the 1 minute in every position you need to shoot?
Okay.
Because your rifle is still what it is.
Okay, we're going to expand on this pretty heavily.
The shooter.
So what I responded on the Facebook post was a minute rifle with a minute shooter will always beat a 2 minute shooter with a 1/4 inch rifle. Okay.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking because someone asked me about it. They actually contacted me this afternoon, and they were like, I don't buy into that. I think trying to get a rifle that shoots the tightest groups, wouldn't that help you? Now let's take it a bit further. So here is our 1 minute rifle with our 1 minute shooter. Okay. In any position, whether you put him on a barricade or whatever, he's going to be able to hold that. So now under this, we're going to hold a little dot. This is going to be your aiming point, right? Now, we know that if he aims at dead center, that bullet could go a 1/2 inch right. It could go a 1/2 inch left, but that rifle will always hold that minute. Okay. Now let's take it a step further. Let's say he's aiming here, because we got to think about the law of averages. And we're going to talk about this circle. He's aiming here. And then he says, no, you know what? I'm going to hold left edge for wind. Okay. Well, remember, he's got an error here of 1/2 of an inch because he's aiming here. But now that rifle, since it's a 1 minute gun, could hit a 1/2 inch left of where he was aiming, or it could hit a 1/2 inch right. Now we're taking wind completely out of this. The same thing happens over here. If he aims right edge, now we have another 1/2 here. So you have 0.5, 0.5, 1.0. Because from here to here is 1 minute. Here's a 1/2 minute. Here's another 1/2 minute. Total 2 MOAs. All right. So a 1 minute shooter with a 1 minute gun, as long as he's aiming anywhere on that 1 inch circle, because he's only got a 1 minute gun, he's going to hit a 2 minute target. We're taking wind out of it completely.
You're running the 1/2 to the one side, the other 1/2 to the other side, and plus the 1 in the middle.
Correct. Now you take the guy that's got the 1/4 inch rifle, the one that spent all this time developing. But one of the things he didn't do was he didn't work on his positional.
He didn't practice.
He could really care less because he's got this rifle that shoots tacks and he thinks he's King Donkey Kong, and but all he can really do is hold 2 minutes. Okay. That's what he can do with that rifle. And he's a 2 MOA shooter. Well, guess what? Now he holds left edge. Now you got to do 1/2. So 1.3, 1.25, 1.25 because of the error. If he holds the edge, right? You got that overlap. What's your overall distance going to be? It's going to be larger than the 2 minutes that your one MOA shooter with the 1 MOA rifle is going to shoot.
Isn't it going to be 3.5?
And people don't know because your rifle shoots a 1/4. It shoots a 1/4 rig.
Okay. I was just
We're doing American math here.
Oh, okay. Damn it. I don't like American math.
So it's a different way of thinking about it. Now, what really comes into play to get even deeper is, let's say the minute shooter with the minute rifle is a much better wind caller because he does practice. He practices wind calls.
That's important.
Now it all changes. Now this guy is going to absolutely obliterate the guy with the 1/4 inch rifle. So my whole point of this long diatribe is don't spend so much time on the bench trying to shoot little tiny bug holes, because if you're trying to get into PRS or NRL 22X or PRS rimfire, just working on those barricade positions like you and I and Matt did in the beginning, it was constantly thousands and thousands of rounds.
Yeah,
that is the one benefit of rimfire, is you can practice a lot of those positions with the same weight rifle. Yes, you won't have the recoil mitigation, but at least you've worked on that position.
Well, then you can always take the recoil management as your next step after you learn the position.
Correct.
And you just saved yourself $1,000 in ammo.
All right, let's go ahead and get caught up on all the questions.
We got Gold Color's got a question about 2 boys, 14 and 17, 22 LR. Which one? I say a CZ.
I'm going to say a CZ 457, or you'd probably be okay with the Bagara as well, the B14. All right.
That would be my guess. Or not my guess, but that would be my pick. All right, we got Marvin out there. But the ammo part is very slow in my eyes, but I'm ready for it.
Yeah, well, you got to look. I mean, me just getting this rifle and me going to local stores, I was able to get everything I needed to reload. Now, if you're not into reloading, this could be a little bit of an issue before you get factory ammo. Great case in point is 6.5 PRC. You know, that cartridge was introduced. I put one on the channel. It was a proof rifle. Fortunately, I was able to put up enough of the 6.5 PRC ammo
for it.
But there are no components. You can't find brass for it anywhere or anything like that. This is readily available brass that you can resize. So it's a whole different animal.
Elmo's over there at Gagabytes, sitting over in the corner. He's been in for, he's still in timeout. Can you climb? I can climb downward slope. Drift not equal to a straight shot to a straight line single dope. I don't know what that's.
Can you climb? I can climb downward. Slope drift is not equal to a straight shot and a straight line single dope. I think what he's talking about is what we talk about slope dope, and we'll go back to the whiteboard of knowledge.
The distance.
And you guys probably know this, and this is something that I cover in the long range class.
What's up, Spice Weaver?
If you are here, you're the shooter, and your target is over here. If you are shooting on a straight line, let's say this is, I don't know, however many yards, we'll just say 500 yards. If you shoot upwards or downwards, your impact will be higher, okay, on the target.
Shorter.
Now, before we get into the math of this, I'm not going to teach a class here. That's why we have the classes. And it's called slope dope. What happens is this distance is going to be shorter, even though you range find it with your laser rangefinders and it shows you 500 yards. The problem is with the angle, it's the horizontal distance as it's traveling here, so it's not the straight line distance. So you'll see that this is shorter. You guys probably remember that whole Pythagorean's theorem in school and everything else. So your dope is going to be, in this case, let's say it was 345. Let's say this would be 500. This would actually be 300 on elevation. This would be 400. 345, just a right triangle. What you're going to see is you want to use the dope for 400 yards for that distance, but it's going to be affected by wind for 500 yards. So you still have to calculate for the 500-yard wind shot, but only 400 yards for your slope dope. All right.
8.6 blackout is like bowling with a rifle. 45 ACP equals 950 feet per second with a 230 grain bullet. 8.6 blackout equals 1,000 feet with a 310 grain bullet. What's penetration like to an 8.6 blackout? I will say the 300 blackout versus the
talking about 8.6.
I know, but when we did the versus the oh my gosh,
oh my goodness.
So when we went through all the drywall, the straight 4x4 or 6x6,
it was a 6x6.
It is stupid difference.
Yeah.
So
the other thing,
that
Brad,
is going to be stupid distance.
Is you can only push a 45 ACP, but so fast. Yes, I understand about the lightweight bullets that you can get a 45 ACP to 1,900 or 2,000 feet per second, but there's no weight there.
The norm.
You're talking about an 80 or 90 grain bullet in that case. But with the 8.6 blackout, you have the ability to take that 230 grain or 275 grain at this point, or 300 grainer, and we can load it to 2,000 feet per second if we so choose. The only reason we're keeping it at 1,000 feet per second is just for the suppression. That's it. But still a lot of energy.
The wind in your hand and your guide is eye, hold, and bang. Let's see. Section, downhill scoping.
Or uphill. Yeah. Downhill or uphill.
The range it at the same. First year 22 LR. Next year 223. Gold color.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great way to start. And the 223s actually can turn into your practice rifle when you're shooting, say you go to 6 GT or something. A little hard to spot your shots at some farther distances, but 1 and 6 is enough. Let's see. Do you guys preload on your barricades and while prone shooting?
I try to.
Yeah, try to.
I don't do a lot of free recoil shooting. It's something you should definitely practice. It's something you can practice on a tripod. You can practice wherever, but I'm not a big free recoiler shooter. I like to load into a barricade. This is one of the reasons why you came up with your big guard.
Yeah.
Even the new MPA, the Matrix Pro, that has
a
guard that comes down.
They copied me.
Because you want to be able to preload into that barricade if you can. It will help stabilize.
Yeah. You got a lot less going on. Kaz or Magura?
The only Magura that I know of is CZ or Bragara, probably.
Okay,
that's probably what he means.
CZ. I'd go CZ.
I think CZ, but they're difficult to find right now. But I know that Kenny's had a lot of luck with the B14s, Magaras.
More options.
Yeah, I also have a CZ that just came back from Kenny, and it's a hammer. But I don't think you're going to go wrong with either. But if you can find the CZ, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, and go steel barrel if you can. I know your kids, I don't know how strong they are, but if you have to go with the carbon fiber, Bagara makes one that's nice. But we've noticed that after it gets hot, it starts to open up the group a little bit.
Gagabyte says I'm boring. No, I'm just kidding. So basically, it says, could a cheap grain damage your bore array? And what he was talking about is, could a cheap bullet or a cheap what?
Oh, maybe
a
you're
cheap
talking
bullet
about the
damage
lead.
your bore.
The-
It's not going to damage your bore, but it can damage the suppressor if it comes apart as it exits the bore. There's SoFlo. What's up, man? I suck at shooting groups consistently. If I have all my rounds in 0 line in a 1-inch pasty, I'm happy. I agree. I like to practice with a 4x6 diamond at 500 doing positional stages. Yeah, that's a great way to do it. You know, because he's working on that.
He shoots well too. I've shot with him.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, shooting small groups is not so easy. I have seen a lot of people that shoot long range really well that can't shoot groups, or vice versa. It's something you've got to work on.
Yeah, some of the things that makes it nice, like for the rimfire shooters out there, I've always said, like when you're doing lot testing, if you can keep it in a 1-inch pasty, this is prone, at 100 yards, you got a good lot. You got a good rifle setup. If you can do the same thing at 50 yards, but positional, and you can keep it in the group, that's what you're looking for. Like good practice is, like say you got a cattle fence, and you shoot from 5 different positions, or at least 4 different positions, from standing down to right before prone. If you can keep them all in a 1-inch circle, like in 90 seconds, kind of make it a stage, you know, that's good. That's what you're looking for.
So this next one's going to be a good comment. Jeffrey's got it. He said he shot his first centerfire match today. I want to see how this comment goes.
Let me see. Where's he at?
Jeffrey Hardwick.
Oh, down here. Okay.
Yep. Says shot my first centerfire match today and learned I hate over earmuffs. What molded earmuffs, bros? Okay, so
there's a lot.
Jeffrey, there's a ton. There are some companies that you can have mold your ear, and I've actually used a couple of sets of those called by a company called EAR. There's a bunch of companies that do that, but I will tell you, even if they injection mold the inside of your ear, those are going to hurt if they are in your ears for more than 4 hours or so.
Yeah.
Here lately, I've been using nothing but auto ears for the last year. I think you bought a set as well.
They're good.
Yeah, if you're
those even, it's almost like you have to change pressures. Like when you're not shooting, maybe take them out and put some ears, you know, just some to get some different, like where the tension's different. I notice helps out a lot.
I've been using those exclusively. I'm really happy with those. I like the sound reduction on them. They work well enough, but over the earmuffs for centerfire rifle is horrible.
Yeah, especially if you got a bad pair that are really big and bulky, and you're trying to shoulder your rifle and it's lifting it up. You know, there's different ones, but in-ear ones are better, at least when you're shooting. Then you take them out.
The gold color says, where do you recommend getting the CZ or the Bergara? They are just difficult to get right now. I know Bergara had an issue with barrels because in Spain they did there was a big strike with the steel manufacturing, so Bergaras are running behind a little bit. CZs keep getting scarfed up. I do know that there are a lot of shops that do carry the CZs. You just have to call around. Going on Gunbroker or whatever, you're going to definitely pay more.
Yeah, but they are a hammer. Jeffrey, congratulations on your first match, by the way. That's awesome. That's the thing. We've been trying to push for years now, is to get people out, go shoot your first match. Who cares how good or bad you do?
So Johnny Wad, I'm going to answer your question. It says, have either of you had any experience with SIG 357? So if you're talking about the 357 SIG cartridge, I have more experience than I care to acknowledge. I've been shooting that cartridge for a long time. I carried one in a work capacity for a while, and it is a lot of recoil. This topic actually came up last night in a video that I had put out with some guys who were comparing, terminal ballistics and all that. 357 SIG is a great cartridge. It is a little harder to control and get back on target as fast as 9mm, period, end of story. I'm not going to argue that with anybody. You look at any agencies that switched over to 357 SIG, their qualification scores usually diminish slightly. And it's hard on guns. It's really hard on guns. The initial SIGs, I think the 226s that came out, they had some issues in the beginning. They got that fixed, but they do hammer the guns. Great cartridge, though.
Except if you have to buy the ammo.
Heck, I hit a target a long time ago. It was
Yeah, it was like
way back in the
400
day.
yards or something.
400 and something yards with 357 SIG pistols.
Out of a
Glock 32,
Glock,
I think
yeah.
it was. Yeah, I do like
That
it.
was before I was around.
But it is a lot more recoil. It jumps around a lot.
So if you use a 105 twist and a 9-inch barrel shooting sub, you'll get greater distance. If we're still talking about, no, you'll get a greater distance. Your bullets, are we still talking about the 8.6? So the 1 and 3 compared to the 1.5 should stabilize. Velocity should
I don't know if
be
he's
more with
talking,
the
I think he's
1.3.
talking about 300 Blackout. And I don't know if that's going to equate to greater distance. What we were talking about early,
he
guys.
was 300 Blackout.
Yeah.
Below it.
What we were talking about earlier, guys. This was that Facebook post. Now, every one of these targets that you're going to see, I'm just going to show you 2 of them. These rifles both shoot a little over a 1/4 inch. They are the best of the best rifles with the best hand loading equipment. Now, working off of different barricades, what it's showing you is these are 1.5 MOA sized targets. So this is actually a pretty decent target. This one over a minute. This one definitely over a minute. It was 1.25 minutes. But these are with 1/4 inch guns. This is actually from somebody else that we know. This was Matt P, I believe it was. And this was his rifle, it was the other way around. But either way, you'll see what happens. If you spend so much time on working on that, on your loads being perfect, it's not where you're going to lose your points. You're going to lose your points when you get in position.
Yeah, you're going to time out.
Yeah.
Does a higher burning powder burn your barrel? And does it leave a higher carbon buildup? Can I use low sulfate mixture to reduce this, but will reduce a higher velocity on rounds?
Well, that's kind of an open-ended question, Gagabytes. It's not, but it is, because a lot of damage to a barrel is done through heat, okay? So how you treat that barrel, even though, let's say, a 6.5 Creedmoor has an average barrel life with average use somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 rounds. A 308 could get you 8,000 to 10,000 rounds. But that can be cut in half if you're that guy that goes out to the range, throws 20 down range in 30 seconds out of your bolt gun,
and then does it again.
And doesn't let it cool. If you can't grab your barrel and hold on to it, like grip it hard and hold on to it, regardless of the thickness of the barrel. If you can't sit there with your hand on it, you have gotten that barrel too hot, okay? You need to be able to hold that. It can be a little warm to the touch or maybe even a little bit hot, but you should not shoot it anymore until that cools down. You're really going to start hurting that barrel dramatically, and your accuracy is going to go quickly.
How you doing, Walter? Gagabytes? A switch, buddy. Slightly sweet tea. I'm working my way.
I'm working my way back to you, babe.
You got to drink it so fast you don't even take the little thing off of it.
That's it.
You're like, I can't spend the time to pull the...
I got to save the turtles, man.
I got to save the turtles. Let's see. My 17-year-old is
6'7".
Holy hell.
Dang.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think he's going to have to worry about.
Jeff Layton, none. I don't dry fire at all. I live fire.
That's true.
You should dry fire for sure.
You should dry fire, especially if you can't get out to the range. But if you
step on my porch.
If you can get out to the range,
step on my porch.
If you can get out to the range, and you got ammo that you're willing to shoot.
No kidding. I will tell you, I pretty much shoot some type of firearm every day. Yesterday I was out practicing with a little Colt 25.
That one you just got?
Oh, yeah, fed perfectly and everything. But
I don't ever get a phone call.
Damn. Why am I going to call you for 10 minutes worth of shooting on a
it could have been 20 minutes. I would have got to shoot it. Let's see here. So, Jeff, no dry fire.
All right, the Outlaw Josie Wells. This is a good point. Let's read this.
Guys, you both seldom buy mid-tier or low-cost gear. It is always top tier, the best available. How and when did you both acquire such preferences? Have you always bought the best? Not always. I'll give you a good example. So, yeah. So I lived in California, and the farthest I ever shot out to was probably 200 yards. Wasn't a long range style shooter. It was mostly shotgun and 22 squirrel hunting, and that was basically it. I had bought. I had bought scopes in the past, different ones, and come to realize that they were all shit.
After I told you.
After
Because I took your BSA.
You didn't tell me,
and I was like,
you showed me what the differences were.
Yes.
Everything that I had purchased prior to was basically no external turrets. It's more of a hunting rifle stuff, and I still have some of those sitting around. At least the halfway decent one. Actually, one's right. I always do that wrong. That one right there is a Leopold. I can't remember.
VX3.
There you go. And that was like, I'm like, holy crud, that's a lot of money, And but yeah, as far as top quality gear, once I got in the whole thing of actually shooting as like, that's what I do. I didn't want to buy this and then buy that and then keep moving on. I was like, I want to buy the best, because at the end of the day, I'm going to save money. I might have to wait a little while to buy some of this junk. And it took me a while to get like the tripod and all the stuff, It wasn't like I had much. A lot of it was
because of hanging out with me.
Borrowed from Ray,
So Outlaw Josie Wells is funny because me and my dad actually watched that the other night. We sat on the couch and we watched that
Outlaw Josie Wells, yeah.
Outlaw Josie Wells. Okay, so I'm not a gear snob. I will spend money where I think it's necessary. So I'm the kind of guy that I started off, there's nothing wrong with a Palmetto State lower. Okay. What is going to be different from a Palmetto State lower if it's mil spec than buying this? I'm just going to make up a brand, Noveski, or buying a Knights. It's probably going to be the same. What's really going to matter, and honestly, the fitment doesn't matter. You can use a little shim in there, whatever the case is. But where the money really needs to be is in that barrel. And, as long as it feeds accurately, we're talking about an AR here, the barrel is the life of everything, right? It's kind of like the engine in your car. You have to use a premium barrel. Now, you might get lucky and find some lower brand manufacturer barrels, and you got this barrel that shoots great. Sometimes it happens. But if you're paying more for a premium barrel, you're typically going to get the accuracy that you're looking for. When it comes to gear, I didn't start off that way in the beginning. I started like everybody else, but got to remember, as you get older, we've had this discussion before. So we're both in our 50s, and it takes a while to get there. It really does. And it depends on how devoted you are to that discipline or that shooting sport.
For sure.
So like back when I played a lot of golf, like a whole lot of golf, I had the best clubs and everything else. Now I give a crap about it. I don't spend any money on golf. I'm not spending money on green fees or anything else.
Yeah, you got your passion.
But everybody's got a hobby or a passion, and that's where you're going to spend that money.
Well, a good example, too, is when you start going to these competitions and you're still on the three, we'll keep with the 3-gun mode, right? There's a lot that goes into this, besides match fees and hotel fees and all this stuff. And the last thing you want to do is you pay for all that, and then you get to the match and the stuff doesn't work. And you're having feeding issues, or the chamber is not cut right and stuff's not working correctly. And so you want better gear that's designed around whatever sport style shooting you're doing. Because one, it's either lighter and faster, shoots more accurately, whatever the case is. And you're trying to do well at something, so you want better gear. Not that the gear is going to help you, because you could have all the best gear and you could still suck, but you got to have something that keeps up with you too. Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering, because many were wanting the 6.86 Blackout over the 338 Federal for hunting. That explains, in the 338 Federal only goes up to 250 grain. So the 8.6 Blackout is more diverse, has more uses. And that's a great point, Brad. I commented on this last night because I'm getting a lot of feedback from this cartridge. Guys want to say, and I wrote this, it was like 260 Remington, it's the same thing as a 6.5 Creedmoor. .243 is the same as a 6mm Creedmoor. And while they're similar, they're not the same. So I've owned 260s, I've owned 243s back in the day, but you got to remember those cartridges, those cases weren't really designed for the newer bullets that are out now, the ELDs. And so for it to be able, I mean, the shoulder angle and all of that, it didn't have to be changed. You know, somebody came up with a good point where you could just take your current chambering and just re-ream it. Well, not everybody has access to a gunsmith or somebody that can re-ream that chamber for that bullet combination. So I get it. It seems like there's a new cartridge coming out every single month, but they perform better. You know, my analogy is think about the advancements with engine technology. Okay. Now you're getting, because of technology, you're getting cars that are more fuel efficient and faster than cars from, let's say, 10 years ago or 12 years ago. Nothing's really changed, just the technology.
Yeah, they got electric cars that'll smoke Corvettes.
Forget that. We're talking about, internal combustion engine.
They'll smoke a Corvette.
Yes, they will.
So
yes, they will.
There's that.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see the growth. But there's nothing wrong with the 260. I'm not saying if you have a 260 AR, you need to trade it for a 6.5 Creedmoor. But this 8.6 does things a little bit better than the 338 in the fact you can load much heavier bullets and does well subsonic. All right.
But back to that as well, the 6 Creedmoor, which is right there, will burn a barrel out faster than the 6.5 will. And so there's give and take to everything. It depends what you're hunting for.
No cheap suppressors talking about cheap powders, right? I don't know what he means.
He's talking about suppress. Oh, no. I don't know.
Talking about cheap powders.
Yeah, powder.
I don't know. Is there such thing as cheap powder?
I don't know.
Eagle Eye's in here. Eagle Eye, we are talking about your great build that you did for me right here. Got the load, 15 grains with a 275.
I cannot believe there's only 15 grains of powder in it.
I've seen decibels, but I'm not sure that you mold them yourself. So, Jeff, this is a really good question. So
I've had decibels, and they're not great.
We've had the molded kinds.
Yeah.
Myself and Ella did them. They were horrible. Did not work well.
The ones where they actually will form fit, they put the crap in your ears, and then it takes like 2 to 3 weeks to get them back where they do all their magic to a different material. Those work really well. So the problem is sometimes they're too quiet.
The one that was asking about his kid getting into shooting, guys, you got Kenny here. He does most of our custom rifle builds, almost all of them.
Yeah.
He is in Lake Havasu and he's Desert Precision Gunworks. So yeah, DP Gunworks. He can get B14s left or right-handed, barreled action or with the stock. So if you're looking for Bergara, he can do that. I don't know if he can source CZs, but he can definitely get you squared away.
Yeah, Kenny, you got any CZs? George Wilson, I got a set of Axel Ghost Strikes last year, and he likes them.
Res Dog. Yeah, suck it up, Nancy. Your hearing is more important than a headache.
That's right, Res Dog.
Yeah, definitely don't skimp on ear protection.
No, and especially if you're shooting gas or suppress, make sure you're running some type of iPro.
Kaiser said it would be great if Desert Tech made an 8.6 for MDRX. You know, it's funny. I did have some conversation with the guys over at Desert Tech to try to get one in on the channel for review, and I was like, I prefer a 6 Creed, but at the time I didn't see a 6 Creed offering for that. But I don't know. We'll see. I doubt they would come up with something as unique as the 8.6 right now, but it would be cool. Really short platform.
3-coil base. Tested some cast lead. Yeah, we were talking about that, Kenny. 250 grain loads for the 8.6 just now, 1,280 feet per second, 0.8 inch group at 50. Not bad for $22 loaded ammo. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I mean, I shoot a lot of cast lead, 9mm reload stuff, but it just seems weird out of a rifle. It's the evening, gents. What military or Leo applications would the 8.6 AR-10 fill need? I think that'd be an awesome. Figured Leo law enforcement sniper stuff. This might be a little too much bullet, though, huh?
It's a lot. It's big.
Yeah. But man, quiet. What is the barrel life on a 22 LR? Forever.
Forever. You're not going to burn one out.
No.
Not shooting, subs or just competition ammo. I don't even know if you can do it with stangers.
Stangers. Yeah, that's the nice thing about a 22, is it? Where's that one at? Is it on that side?
Yeah, Abigail said I did 200 draw and present dry drills from my IWB holster today. There's no excuse to not dry fire. It's free. Yeah, and I completely agree.
Especially
I wasn't downplaying the dry fire, especially if you're carrying concealed. If you get a new setup, don't assume you're going to be good with it. You need to go out there and practice. The only thing I was saying is I will do that, but I'm actually using ammunition because, in my opinion, there's no substitute for it, but it does get expensive. But a lot of times you get a new holster or you'll use it with a certain belt and you'll draw and you'll have a holster on the end of your pistol. There are certain things because it comes unclipped from your belt, or let's say you don't have a belt on. Those are all things you need to practice and be aware of, because if something bad happens, it's going to happen just like that. If it can go wrong, it will.
That's right. The course I went to last week was getting over 4,000 rounds through their 6.5 Creedmoors before seeing accuracy issues. Yeah, 4,000's right.
Yeah.
6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah. So what I was saying was, depending on how hard you're using it, 3,000 to 5,000 rounds on a 6.5 Creed, 8 to 10 on a 308. Where did the mushy trip rifle go? Did you say it went to Aussie land, Rick Ladd?
Oh, yeah. Skittles has made its way to just the chassis of Skittles. It was an MDT ACC chassis, and that has made its way to Ben B out in Aussie land. Yeah,
Abigail says, my home defense rifle has a Criterion barrel and a Poverty Pony lower. That's what I was saying. Whether it's an Anderson or whether it's a PSA or whatever, if it works just as well as this, Noveski or this Knights or whatever brand X standard defense, doesn't matter. As long as you know what it does and how reliable it is, then you're good. The first plate carrier in armor was a Condor mop with steel plates. Now I know better and have a Ferro Concept slickster with level 4 ceramics. Nice.
That's an upgrade.
Yep, for sure.
You'll observe where it makes sense to spend money and where it doesn't. Top guys in PRS, I'll use Tangent Thetas and Zycos and Harris bipods.
Okay, so Joe M., I have a couple of the Tangent Thetas, and they are great scopes. I probably don't have any scopes that have as tactile of a click as the Tangent Thetas. The reset your turret to 0, there's nothing, in my opinion, that's better. The glass is very clear. The eye box is a little small, actually a little lacking, in my opinion. I'm a huge fan of Night Force. I shoot for Burris. There is a point where you got to spend X amount of money to get decent quality. And then when you get into that range, that's a pretty big range. And then you got those ones at the very end, like your Tangent Thetas and the Hensoldts. And like I said earlier, is that climb worth the view? And I don't know if it is all the way at the very top end. When you look at that middle section, I'm going to call it middle to upper section, that's where you're going to see your Night Forces, your Vortex Gen 3s, your ZCOs, all of those are going to be in that upper end, your older Schmitz, because I don't like the newer Schmitz. But you got to do with what works for you. And even Collis, everybody offers something a little bit differently, and they fit people differently. So you got to figure out where to spend the money. I try not to skimp on glass too much. Glass is very important. It's something that I always say don't sell when you sell the rifle. If you sell your rifle, the glass is going to be fine. It's going to last you from here on out.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the Harris either. When I reviewed the Mark 22, the Barrett Mark 22 that I have, for SOCOM, it comes with a Harris bipod. It works.
Yeah.
It always works.
And it's fairly light.
Yeah.
It works great. Easy to deploy. I think a lot of times, though, like Joe M. So Joe M., I know he does a lot of PRS stuff. I don't know if he does ruck matches, though, where you're seeing like the Harris and the Skypod, especially like the double pull in like a ruck match where you're shooting over bushes and you got all these funky things going on. That's kind of where that comes into play more than some flat barrel or something.
So, yeah, those scopes are given to them. You don't need to spend that much on a scope to compete at the top level. 1,600 would be a good budget. So, without calling any names out, I will say 100% that is true to a point. Because I know somebody personally that was sponsored by a high-end company, and I was like, you're going to have problems with that. You're going to have problems with that. And 2-3 matches, you fell out of it, and now he shoots for a different company. And that's just one of those. If you kind of know, there are some scopes that are more prone to breakage than others, or tracking issues than others. Kenny and I have talked at length about this. Now, he's mentioned the Burst XTR3 with SCR is a good option. So that's not a high-end scope. I mean, you're looking at the lower end of the spectrum, but the shooters that shoot that are good enough to win a lot of these competitions shooting that. It's good enough without spending 3 times that on, let's say, a tangent theta. I'm not knocking tangent theta at all. I'm just saying you got to do with what makes you happy. Not everybody drives a Mercedes. Not everybody drives a BMW. Why would they? I mean, you can get a Hyundai that does the exact same thing. You can buy a freaking Kia Stinger that has just as much horsepower, just as fast. And
did you say Stanger?
A Stanger. Kia Stanger.
Kia Stanger.
There are plenty of options out there.
Learn to use a knife in your down here. What in
it's hard for me to. Yeah, he's got an Australian accent, right? So it's I guess he's probably doing text to talk. Maybe I don't know.
I think he's from the UK.
Oh, the UK. Got it.
Let's see. Missed the start, but glad to see you playing with the 8.6. I was
converting brass today. Yeah, that's what we were doing in the beginning. Was talking about what it looks like before it's cut, using the 6.5 Creedmoor and using the Hornady dies.
Here's a question. I don't know. I'm going to give you. I love Masterpiece arms when it comes to chassis. So if you're going to run a CZ 457, I like for a 22 rimfire versions of stuff, I like the hybrids because it's a little lighter. It doesn't have as much ass in the back, which helps to balance the front. But some of the stock like CZs and stuff like that, there's still not enough weight in the front without adding weights to get it to balance correctly.
And so we've got 60 people on here. That was a great question, Tony. You guys might have missed it, but earlier in the week we did a chat. I'm now on MPA shooting team. So now I'm shooting with Masterpiece Arms or for Masterpiece Arms. And even before this announcement was made, I'm still not on the website or any of that yet. We just got all that solidified last week. But my 455, not 457, but my older 455 has an MPA coming for it. And that was beforehand. It was something that Kenny had worked out. So, yeah, it's good stuff. Your thoughts on appendix carry? It's the only way I carry.
Waiting for Faxon to get the bolt gun barrels back in.
Yeah.
Any recommendation? Nope. Already answered that one. When are the belts going to be back in stock, Mr.? That's a great question.
It is a great question.
Times are right. It's not so much, well, it is the belts, but it's, well, you answer that.
We're having supply chain issues. We do have them. They are in stock. We have not put them on the website yet because there are certain sizes that we have a lot of and some that we have none of. So we are working on that, but I've got the shooting mat that I'm working on this week. So to answer your question, I don't know yet, but we do have some in stock. If you send us an email, maybe we can look and get something worked out.
Gary says knows more than I do, and big respect. And to
student has become a master. Bugshoe, you are a master.
Yeah, the Leopold Mark 5 to 25.
PR2, solid. Yep.
I know Dick Hedges as well is a big fan of those. Let's see. If it's inexpensive and works well, it's not cheap garbage.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If it's reliable, depending on what thing you're talking about, can hold a 0. Let's just say we're talking scopes. It tracks correctly, and it doesn't cost $1 bazillion, even better.
Yeah.
But that's the question. Will it last? We all know when we buy stuff from China, it'll look just like the really cool one, but sure in the hell ain't the really cool one.
Night Farce.
Night Farce. That's right.
You did a video on that.
Yep. Buy yourself a Night Farce.
No, the thing to live by is if it's too good to be true, it probably is. If you're going to a gun show and you're picking up, this because you can get it for $100, don't throw it on your rifle.
Yep.
I don't know
Abigail brings up a good point too. Cheap garbage is obvious.
Yeah.
And then expensive garbage is what you should look out for.
Yeah.
At least when you know it's cheap, it's probably cheap. But when you're buying something expensive and it ends up being crap, then you're really going to suffer. Let's see, feel sorry for. What? Let's see. No ruck matches, Joe. Yeah, just PRS. Unfortunate to shoot in Oklahoma, and my home range is same as JTAC guys. I get to observe the best pretty regularly. Maybe one day I'll shoot as well as them. I would love to see that. I would love to do that as well, Joe. I know you do a lot of shooting, so that's awesome.
Yeah, see, the gold car, I called that car out on purpose. That Kia Stinger is no joke. For $50-something thousand, I think it is.
Thing hauls booty.
Yeah, offers a lot.
So where is that shop to buy those CZs or Bagaras? I am game. If you're looking for the Bagaras, gold color, you can get those. Sounds like dpgunworks.com out of Arizona, Lake Havasu area. I don't know where you're at, but it's DP Gunworks. Has some left-handed and right-handed bolt or actions.
Biggest problem with 8.6, I'd have to buy another can. I know what you mean, Jackson. Well, like I said, we're going to try a 9mm can tomorrow, subsonic, and see.
I don't see why.
But see, this thing will handle supersonic too. It's going to be loud.
That thing seconds as a baseball bat. So yeah. Here's CZ. Here's the guy you want to get in contact with right here.
Desert Precision Gunworks, DP Gunworks, not Eagle Eye Shooting.
No, yeah. For B14s right now, working on some CZs as well. Let's see, Sammy. What's up, Sammy? I have a back ranger. I'd like to go deer hunting. What rifle?
243. Call it good. You can take a deer with a 243. No problem. You get a lightweight, super lightweight 243. A lot of people will, especially in the South, start their kids off on a 243.
Yeah, you see a lot of 243s.
Yeah, a lot of 243. I think you'll be fine with that.
Spy Sweeper. Collis, Burris, or Leopold? I think it's personal preference, honestly.
Okay,
reticle type.
I don't beat around the bush. Okay. Of the three that you listed there, now this is opinion, and everybody's got an opinion, like they're both.
Everybody's got yeah.
So I think of the three that you listed, I think Collis is going to be the most expensive of the three, by and large. If you're comparing like apples to here, yep. But you're probably going to have the best glass in the Collis. I can see that. Your fit and finish on the Collis is second to none. Okay. The Leupold is going to be close in glass. It does have a lifetime warranty. The fit and finish is going to be okay. Not the best. And I do have a bunch of the Leupold, the Mark V HDs that I had won in matches last year. And they're okay, but it's just like the turrets feel a little odd. One of them's got a funky, their windage knob. They, instead of putting it right where you look at it, they put it kind of at the top at an angle to take out parallax error. But the problem is it's more of an issue than, I don't know whose bright idea that was. Burris has pretty decent glass. It is not going to be on par, whether you're talking about the XTR3, which the XTR2 is way down here, but the XTR3 is going to be close to those two, but it's not as good as, plain and simple. What the XTR3 has is a lot for competition shooters in the way of being able to do the speed dials, toolless resets. I mean, literally, you saw me do the zero the other day, and it was just like, I squeezed the cap, popped it off, re-zeroed it, boom, done. I was ready to go. Yeah. It's very simple. It is made in the USA. The XTR3s, and in Greeley, Colorado, and they do have a lifetime warranty. So it really depends on your price point. First is going to be the least expensive, then Leupold, then Collis. There you go.
There you go. Hit the like button, guys. Josie Will says. Any downside to having a high scope mount, 1.5? Notice that one of your rifles in the background has a fairly high mount. Tony, all my precision rifles that are running, well, especially my rimfire ones where I'm running 50 MOA, I'm running 1.5 on all of those.
I think he's questioning this one.
Oh, gotcha.
This would be better suited for rings if it did not have an L3 white phosphor night vision device here. And for everything to marry up right, if I were to put rings on this, the height would be wrong on those two mating up. And while they don't need to be perfect, you do want them somewhat close. So that is the Night Force Unimount, and it's a little high for this whole setup. But it's because this is meant to be used at night for big animals like coyotes.
Yeah. Let's see here. Seems like if you start with a sound foundation and build on it, you'll do well with it. In a nutshell, pick one way and go with it until you perfect it. I think so. I think, I don't know, people go down journeys and then they learn something different, new or better. And sometimes they pick that route as well. It's like a freeway. Say you're on the 15 freeway, and I'll do this for the SoCal guys. You're on the 15 freeway and all of a sudden you're like, I like that. And you hit the 91 and then you cruise around a little bit in 40 and you end up in, all of a sudden you're in North Carolina. Stuff's changed.
So, Darren, honest opinion of the Leupold Mark V HD line. So, there's a saying around here that's the hashtag still a dick, and that would be me, because I shouldn't be so brutally honest, but it's just who I am. I have two of them. I don't care for them. I had the Leupold, the Mark VI, as well as the Mark VIII. Both of them had to go back to Leupold for reticle shift on changing the power. So when you got towards max, what would happen is the reticle would actually shift once it bottomed out. And it was enough to where it wasn't just a slight shift. It actually moved quite a bit. I was actually at a match, shooting a match. I think it was the Vortex. It was the Bushnell before it was the Vortex match. And we had that scope on a rifle. We still finished third at that match. No issues with that. But when the Leupold rep looked at it, he said, that's not right. That needs to come back to us. Sent it back. Had another problem with that Mark VIII. So I've won 2 of those Mark V HDs. I've had 0 issues with them, but it did leave a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth on purchasing one. So winning them is one thing, and I'm going to use it. And I've had 0 issues with it, but I'm not as impressed as I used to be with Leupold. Back in the day when they were doing the Ultras and the Mark IV, when nothing else was out, they were the best of the best. Here lately, I think they've kind of missed the mark, and these other companies are passing them by on these tactical scopes or competition scopes.
I will say, though, it happens to every company.
4 times for me?
Oh, and I didn't hear the 4 times part, but
yeah, no.
Shit happens.
It does happen to every company. I'm very understanding, and they've always reached out, and they do have a lifetime warranty. But you were asking about the Mark V HD line.
Yeah.
My honest opinion, not as impressed as I would be with other scopes.
Have a good night, Gagabytes. What the heck is going on, fellas? What's going on, Conservative Sniper?
See you, Gagabytes.
I just
Thanks
noticed
for
that
joining.
you have Kirk Douglas shape. Yeah, this stuff's driving me nuts. I was trying to see
his razor.
I was trying to see if it'd go past the itchiness part, but it's gonna be gone very soon because I can't take it anymore. I can't take it no longer. I couldn't take it.
Just be careful with the Collis 6-24 versus the 5-25. The 6-24 is not anywhere near as nice as the 5-25. They lowered the money of the 6-24 to get in the PRS production class, and they cut the glass quality. Great point, Joe M. I have a 5-25. I knew that was coming. You are starting to see companies do that so they can fit certain classes, certain divisions, or they're changing the price points. They've done that in a couple of these things.
That's where Vortex screwed up.
How so?
They took when you were to take a production rifle, you were able to shoot like a PST,
Gen 2 or
and
something.
then they changed everything, and the price went up, and then it took them out of production.
Yeah, got it.
Between like the Diamondback and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, don't just buy into a name, guys. Know what you're buying. Thanks for your answers.
My crappy eyes can tell the difference. Yeah, exactly.
So, Brad, I've been offered to review the Tract by quite a few people. I have not, but I do know Precision Rifle Network. He just did a tabletop review of the Tract Torque, the Tract Optics.
Isn't that the one?
You might want to check it out.
I think
a lot of pros. It's Japanese glass. Still, $1,600 price point.
I think Pursuit of Accuracy is shooting one of those.
He might be. I don't know. So this is a key one right here. Let's go and highlight that one. I never knew what a good scope was until Ray made me spend the money. This is coming from someone who used to use $30 Amazon scopes to shoot 1 mile. And when I first met Kenny, I commended him on that. I was like, dude,
how do you
do a lot with a little?
Yeah.
And yes, because I was there at one point. I did not want to spend the money on the scopes, and I was buying the cheapest thing out there. And then I realized what the difference was. And when you start using these higher end optics, you get less fatigue, you get better clarity, you can take shots that you normally wouldn't be able to take. And the tracking is pretty spot on. In one of the classes I taught, we had a guy show up and he was like, well, you said external turrets and it's got to be able to do this. And I said, we're going to have to loan you a rifle. I said, that's not going to work. And I'm not going to name the name of the company. Very, very inexpensive optic. And he goes, man, I can shoot a minute all day long. And so we got him out there, let him go through the class like normal. And he shot a minute group. And I was like, good job. I said, now how's it track? He goes, well, I can tell you this is what it needs to be at 200 yards. So he goes 200 yards. So then I was like, let me show you something. So we went to 600 yards. He dialed his dope.
That was with a quarter? No, the 16th.
What are you talking
turrets?
about? No. This is completely different.
Okay.
So we go to 600 yards. He has a hard time getting on target. We go back to 100. Dials his dope in at 100 yards. He was 6 inches off mark. That is perfect example of a scope or an optic that does not track. And I was like, this is the problem. It has to be repeatable. You're like, well, why would you take him to 600? Because a lot of times you're going in, near to far, far to near, and you're not going to be able to hold over on everything. You really do get what you pay for. Area 419 Hellfire for a 308 gas gun. Good choice. The Hellfire, the Area 419 break is a good break. For a gas gun, yeah, it'll work. There are a lot of really good options out there.
What's another option that he may think
you
of?
could look at something like, if Ultradyne makes one, because I know they make, a great, you got the Titan, the SJC. I don't know if they make it for 308. Just look at something that is a really good name brand if you're looking for a muzzle brake, and that's going to really help with the, mitigate the recoil. I can't say anything bad about the Hellfire. It's just it's going to be in the same price point as the others. I think it really depends on aesthetics on what all you're looking for. I think it'll work. It'll work.
This is a good point too.
I don't have one.
This is a good point too on that one.
On a gasser.
The Kona is a carbon collector. In groups, open muzzle brake, but many have good luck.
Yeah. I've seen that as well.
Did I get my turrets fixed on the Razor Gen 3? Tony, no. I have 3 of those, and I don't shoot where my hand's over the top of the turret, to stabilize the rifle. So it doesn't impact me at all. Maybe once in a couple matches, it'll drop a little low, and I'll have to pop it up when I'm dialing for the next target or something. I don't know. It doesn't bug me. I know they're supposed to be doing where the turrets are a little more clicky and they'll stay up. Honestly, I don't know. I just picked one up from Vortex last week. that one I showed yesterday, and I checked the turrets on that, and it's the same as the other two that I have. So I don't have an issue with it, honestly. I like it. It's quieter. The Gen 2's more. It's got more noise to it as you're clicking. Audible. Tick 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 tick. But
Was that audible?
audible.
Audible.
What up? Karate chop to the neck, Mr. Ray.
Agabite said something about free from parallax, the point where light meets in my scope, the crossover of light to a vertical light in the eye made a scope where, and that's a shitty Scottish. I don't know. I can't follow that.
Where it
Trying.
by Parallax. That's I don't know, buddy. You're killing me with these things. So I know, Tony, I didn't get the turrets fixed because I don't really want them fixed, honestly.
What's the best value? First focal plane MRAD scope costing $1,500 to $1,800. Best value? I'm just going to throw it out there. You can find some Night Force 2.5 to 20s if that will fit your needs for that price point. I have seen them at that price point. You just got to know where to look. Or you could get, like an XTR3. You could look at that tract, although I have no experience with the tract. I don't know what their warranty's like. Man, there's a lot of options in that $1,500 to $1,800. You can find you a Vortex Gen 2 Razor in that price point. And don't worry if it's got a little scuff on it. You get a lifetime warranty.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you don't get on social media, and maybe you don't, it might be worthwhile just to get on Facebook. There are plenty of optics buy, sell, and trades where you can find some really good deals. Especially the guy that's got to have the Razor Gen 3. And they'll
he's getting rid of his
Gen 2s for $1,200-$1,300. Cheapest I've seen was $1,300, and that was like brand new. The API Gen 3 Fat Bastard is a good choice as well.
That's what that. Well, it's blocked because of the rifle. That is a great break. I really like that break. Would you compare the old Gen 2 Razor to the new Gen 3? Any dislikes regarding the Gen 3? I would say the only dislike, or at least not so much a dislike, but something I noticed more than anything, because I have a lot of time behind the 4.5 to 27, which is the Gen 2, is you are messing with your parallax a little more. And reason being, your power, you went from 4.5 to 27 to 6 by 36. There is huge bonuses to it if you're shooting like I know your limits at a certain distance, long range center fire stuff where you're really out there and you can power up a little more than you normally may or may not want to. But like once your target sets in the same thing and maybe you're shooting in a prone stage where you're not transitioning from position to position where you can kind of power up a little more and read the hash marks a little better, it makes it nicer. The only downfall was the parallax. You had to touch it a little more. That was the one thing I had to notice that I noticed the most was I had to tweak with my parallax more.
Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate it. Sleep well. If you don't want a tuner, the Ace brake beats all. I had the same problems as Kenny with the Air 419. The Ace brake just works and it comes off easy. I have no experience with the Ace.
The vortex on the eye is key to clarity. Yeah, the eye box is very forgiving on both of. If we're still talking the vortex, I think that's what the question. The vortex on the eye is key to the clarity. So yeah, it's. But I noticed that was the only thing I noticed different about it, and the turrets were a little more mushy, and the top of the turret would come down if you put your hand on it. So if you want more audible clicks, go with the 4.5 to 27, and you don't want to worry about the cap coming down. But for power wise, I don't know. I like it.
So I originally had the Sig Kilo 10X ABs on order. I'm using the 3000 BDXs. 3000 BDXs, until those go dead on me, I am just going to stick with those. I don't have to have the latest, greatest, electronics or binos. I have no experience with the 10X. Okay. I will tell you that I'm using applied ballistics on my binos less and less. I don't want it linking to my Kestrel. Typically on these matches, I am running my own dope through the Kestrel. I don't need it coming through my binos. There's too much going on. There's too much delay. So if you have a set of 3000s, just stick with those. But I have no idea what the 10X gives you other than more distance and maybe a faster processor. You've got the latest, greatest Vortex Furies. How often are you linking those up with your Kestrel now?
Never.
None. Never. Exactly. Don't get caught up in all this electronic linking, pairing stuff.
Oh, 825 yards. I'll go to my Kestrel.
There you go.
Spin her up and put in the distance and see what I got.
Yep. Cheap glass is the way. Cheap glass is the way.
Cheap glass.
Finding a muzzle brake that allows gases to exit right from the muzzle. Keep the crown cleaner. The Gen 3 Fat Basher allows you to tune barrel bounce. Recommend filming slow-mo from the side. Got it.
Yeah, that actually works well. Actually, when Kenny was out here, we worked on tuning my brake. There's a bunch of holes on top where you put insets of little screws, basically, and you can get less gas, or you got a left and a right side of it, basically, and you can, mess with it get it where you like it.
Ultradyne is a good choice for LR308. There you go. So I'm going to tell you, I don't like tunable type brakes where you can put set screws here and set screws there. And for me, the reason is a little different than these guys. While it works well, way back in the day, that's old technology. I remember these brakes coming that would come with 20 screws and you could fill in the ports and do all the slow-mo and everything else. But I move stuff around way too much, okay? I'm constantly moving muzzle brakes, constantly moving scopes. I typically don't finish a build and it sits and I shoot it the way it is. Something will change or whatever. The problem with all of those ones where you put little set screws in and everything else is after you do have a good number of rounds through it, you're going to get carbon buildup on the threads that weren't filled that you left open. You're never going to get a set screw back in there unless you're chasing the threads, unless the carbon's hardened into diamonds now at this point. But you're going to be chasing it with a tap, a little tiny tap. You're going to break a tap off in there and you're going to have more problems. So I don't like the stuff like that. It's like, if I'm going to go through that issue, I've run into this too. You'll see companies that do brakes with little small holes in them, and then you can increase that hole size by drilling that out, like on a Bridgeport, or you could even use a hand drill, get it tuned, and then it's set, but it's kind of set for that rifle at that point. But I don't like little head screws, Allen screws, where exhaust gases are going.
But if you're going to build something and leave it, and I know you tweak your stuff because you do a lot of different stuff.
A lot of different stuff.
But like that rifle, I always point to the wrong spot. That's done and done. You know what I mean? So I don't got to mess with it.
Well, you got to put a new barrel on it.
Well,
and
at that point,
need to change the setting.
At that point,
you might not like that barrel you put on the next time.
See, I told you he's a dick.
I'm a dick. I'm just telling you. That's the way life works.
That's what it is.
That is the way life works.
But you're a dick?
Well, no. And then that rifle that you're talking about, that's a 6 Creedmoor. Your barrel life's going to be 1,500 rounds. That's going to be next week for you. So you're going to have to run through it. You're going to end up buying another brake if that one doesn't tune right.
Don't you got something to do?
I'm telling you. That's why #still a dick.
Let's see. Here you go. Here's a question for you by CJ Johnson. Mr. CJ Johnson. Does anyone have any experience with the Sigsar Tango 6 or Voodoo scopes?
Yes and yes.
All right, let them know about
it. The Voodoo, I have no problems with, no complaints. They also have a new one. That was one that I was supposed to get a while ago. I think it's that new 1-10. That is a great optic. I had a chance to shoot that quite a bit out west. Here we go again. SIG, I would never own any SIG optic. Not going to happen for me. So we had a couple that we bought brand new. And the very first day, one of the parallax knobs fell off. Like the whole left side fell off. On the other one, a perfectly good rifle setup that we had another scope on. We put this one on, ran out of elevation adjustment, and it wasn't even supposed to be close to out of elevation adjustment. Both of those went bye-bye. And then when Val got one of the SIG dots, I was like, oh, dude, I can't believe you did that. How long was it before that broke? Like a week or two.
Yeah.
And I think it took him over 3 months. Over 3 months to get a replacement.
He just posted something online about something broke and he had to get sent back again.
I don't mess with him.
I don't think that, yeah. A parallax question of the day. Let's see. POA is the same if you're in the optical center of the scope no matter what. But if the parallax is adjusted perfect and you move your head, does the impact change?
It can.
Yeah.
So parallax is not the same as focus, okay? I'm sure you understand this because you're asking the question, Brad. But basically, you have a reticle, and then you have a target.
Sure.
And what you're trying to do with parallax is you're trying to get these two planes the same. If they, like this. So if it's not, and your parallax is off, as you move your head, what you're going to see, like this is your reticle, and this is your target. I'm going to try to do this so you guys can see.
Let me get rid of this thing.
So if I move my head and nothing changes between the reticle and the target, then you've got your parallax on the same plane, okay? But if you're doing this, and every time you move your head, you're getting this, that means your parallax are on two different planes. So that's why you're always checking in the eye box. Even when I was working with you, I was like, what did I always say? What was my saying? Check.
Parallax.
No. Check left, right, up, down.
Oh, yeah.
That's my saying. Check left, right, up, down. You're not only getting everything centered, but you're checking your parallax so you don't see that movement between the reticle and the actual target itself. So parallax is very important because if you do start moving your head and your parallax not on the same plane, you will shift your impact.
And it'll get much more difficult when you start powering up.
All right, here we go.
Precision Armament Hyper Tap is the brake I would recommend in this application, Mr. HS.
Okay.
There you go.
Never had any experience with it.
Let's see. Any problems with the little bastard coming loose? Riding the waves asking.
I haven't had one come loose, is what Eagle Eye says. We always try to refer to somebody that actually has experience. If I don't have experience, I'll say.
Does a muzzle brake affect a PRS round rat lad? Around rat lad. And if you use a suppressor on a PRS round UK,
unsubscribe. I don't know.
Unsubscribe. I don't know what the hell this is. Does a muzzle brake affect a PRS round? Let's pretend that's the question. Does a muzzle brake affect a PRS round? It affects the recoil of the rifle, and it reduces if it's working correctly, it's reducing the recoil of the rifle, which in turn will help you keep your scope on target and see a miss or an impact, if that's what the question was.
I don't want to get too much into muzzle brakes. When you start throwing weight on the end of a barrel, you're changing harmonics. So
yes,
we talked about this once. I was actually going to do a video on it. I've got about half of it filmed. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it. Let's say both of these are the exact same threading. 5H24 and Ultra 7 5H24. Do you really think you can hang this off of a barrel and it affect your harmonics the exact same as hanging that off of a barrel? No. If the weight's different, let's say this wasn't titanium and this was steel, okay? Because they're both titanium cans. Well, titanium, this one's a whole lot heavier, I can tell, just because of the mount system and all that. Well, as you change the weight, you're changing the tune of that, or the harmonics of that barrel. So that's something to always keep in mind. The other thing you got to keep in mind is tension, barrel tension. So if you're just taking this thing on and monkeying it with your hands, I was hoping Kenny would be able to do a video on this as well. But you can usually play around and put something at 10 foot-pounds, 15 foot-pounds, 25 foot-pounds, 40 foot-pounds, and what you're going to see is it affects your point of impact on the same bullet, the same rifle, same everything. You start monkeying around with weight and tension.
Yeah.
So it all plays in towards the harmonics. You know, like, I put a suppressor on and my rifle shoots tighter groups. And they think it's the suppressor, but it's not. It's just they change their harmonics from that. Now, there's Sometimes it can, but typically,
or it's shooting low, so it must be slower.
yeah, exactly. Typically, suppressors
It's not shooting slower.
Disrupt the air enough to where it's not going to increase your accuracy. Okay.
They think since the bullet is hitting or impacting lower, that the suppressor is slowing down the bullet, which in reality it's speeding it up just a little. But it's the weight of the thing on your barrel that's making your impact show lower on the paper. Do you prefer rubber feet on bipod or something more aggressive?
I hate rubber feet.
I like spikes.
Tungsten steel, something.
Yeah. Now I will say there is times when it does work better than the rubber feet, but for most of the time, between the mud, wood, concrete, on car hoods, rubber feet sometimes work better, depending on if it's wet, especially if it's wet. But the spike for the win for me on most things, because it works great on rocks and different stuff. But harder, slippier material, sometimes the rubber feet can help. But I don't really see people changing like the tips of their bipod out because it's, say material X.
Man, this is an awesome question. I'm going to let Tony answer, or Rick answer that, because he's going to say the exact thing I'm going to say. I have to use the bathroom.
When you're zeroing before a match, do you zero when prone or on a bench? I notice my groupings are different between the two. I'm a huge fan of not being on a bench. The reason why I don't shoot on a bench, zero on a bench, is because most of my shooting, if I'm zeroing out something or trying to get a tight a tight group per se, or confirming my zero, is I'm always prone, unless otherwise where you can't, for some unknown reason, you can't shoot prone. Let's just say you couldn't shoot prone. Your zero is going to be a hair different prone per se than it would be if you're a prone zero shooter. That may sound weird, but for some, yeah, I know, I can hear you peeing, but I don't know. I've always shot prone. I'd rather shoot prone and get in my zero. Not only is he peeing, folks, but he's off gassing. Let's see. So that's my answer. Let me make sure I answered it. When you're zeroing before a match, do you zero when prone or on a bench? I notice my groups are different between the two. Yeah. So Tony, no, it's always prone for me and for him as well. Let's see. Let's get 10 more likes in here. I don't know how many likes we got. I can't see it on this. Can I set a forward blowback on a GIMP? Can I set a forward blowback on a GIMP? Or is it
on a GIMP? What's he talking about?
It says a GIMP.
You done changed the topic here?
Or is it set to a 90? I don't know. I got to drop some tea off. Your turn.
All right. You lads need fiber internet. Yeah. What is the best muzzle clean? What is the best muzzle clean? And I'd crown a clean registry. I don't know. You're both dicks. Soak with Freol for cleaning carbon off of a muzzle brake. Despite the pros, CLR is the worst choice. It etches stainless. It's a great comment from Eagle Eye, from Kenny. CLR is for people that get free barrels and brakes. There you go. I thought about as much about the CLR, Kenny. Yep. YouTube channel Winning in the Wind shows the results on a barrel with CLR discoloring stainless. Are Element scopes worth the money, Kenny? I have zero experience with Element. No, I can't say that. I shot an Element over at Kenny's. You can even call CLR and they will state it will ruin 416 bar. All right. Are the line of sight, the light, the stars? What's the best way to focus and set parallax? Like I was saying, Robert, don't go by the numbers on the side or any indicators on the side. Best way to do is make sure your scope is already set up for you. Okay, we've talked about this before on the channel. For those that might not have seen it, you want to shoulder your rifle. You want to be looking at a clear, no sun, like blue sky, no clouds, no anything else. You want to look away. You want to put it on max power. Put it on infinity. You're going to look away, look away. And you want to make sure that you are getting your eye relief set so that you have a crystal clear reticle. Once that's set for you, lock it in. Don't let anybody touch it. If they want to shoot your rifle,
mark it, because some don't lock.
Don't let anybody play with it. It's your rifle. You got to compete with it.
That's right.
Once you do that, now let's say you've got a target at 300 yards. You're going to get up there. You're going to look. Your reticle is going to be crystal clear. What you want to do is get the rest of it clear or focused. And once you think it's right, then you just move your head left, right, up, down. And what you should not see is the target in relationship to the reticle moving around. You should be able to move your head and it doesn't move. If you're moving your head and it does this, right? If you're moving your head and it's doing all this stuff, you don't have them on the same. That's the way you focus and set it. Sticking with 8.6, I think a nice LVPO would pair it nicely with subsonic ammo. Recommendations.
Yeah,
so SoFlo, yep. I think a 1 to 6, 1 to 10, 1 to 8 would be great. I think one of the best LVPOs out there right now is a Vortex 1 to 10. That's what I run in 3-gun competition. I think it offers a lot for the money. Night Force has done a good job getting their 1 to 8 with their reticle nice now. It used to be too thick when the ATACR first came out. It's called Buy, no quadrifocal like a Mantis. Conservative Sniper, or CSH.
Yeah, it's conservative.
No, I own both Element, Titan, and Nexus. The Titan has an awesome toolless turret. The Nexus is just junk, in my opinion. Glass clarity is crap for the price. Has one of the smallest eye boxes out there. Well, there you go.
Yeah, eye box is important, especially if you're doing a lot of moving around. You're in weird positions.
Nexus scope has a lot of fish eyeing as well. So here we go. Here's a brand that you guys might or might not know, but Kenny, I'm going to let him chime in on this. So he called me and asked me about the IOR Valdatas, because you have this group of people that swear they're the best thing since the scope was invented. And, it's shot glass and this, that, and the other. I've owned 2 IOR Valdatas. Both of them broke. When I say broke, I'm talking about they would not track anymore. You could turn the turret all you want. It wouldn't do anything. That was my experience with them. So when Kenny called and asked me about them, I told him my experience. And sure enough, he had the same experience with the newer one. Now, he has reached out to the guys at IOR. You know what? I don't know how much I can discuss, but I know that he's got a newer one in that he's been playing around with. Maybe he can chime in on what he thinks of the IOR.
Josh Powers, put him down for a 457 barrel, Mr. Kenny.
Yeah. Join the email list on the website. I have a bunch of custom Contour 1.10 barrels on the way, and we'll be offering the same barrel for the Voodoos. He said, absolutely. He said, make sure you join the email list. You will get notifications on your phone.
There you go.
What's your favorite shooting mat? It's a good question.
There's a bunch. Depends what you're doing with it. I've seen some. Let's just talk about shooting mats for a second.
Yeah.
There's some that are so damn fat that they're just, it's like trying to shoot off an air mattress. And I don't like those kind. Then there's some that are minimalistic and they work great for putting in a pack, carrying weight through the whole day, whatever the case is. And then there's the ones in between.
All right, so I own a lot of shooting mats. Everything from the Blackhawks to the HSG, whatever, the Super Tactical, to the Voodoo Tacticals. Is it Voodoo Tactical or Voodoo Innovation? Voodoo Tactical. Yeah, Voodoo Tactical. I have, Creedmoors. I have a ton of shooting mats. None of them did what I wanted them to do. So that's why I'm working on the shooting mat, which should be out in the next couple of weeks or so. We are this week finishing up the last prototype, and it should come out. It's something that's lightweight, it's long, it's water resistant. You can cover your rifle up with it. It's got a little barrel attachment or a barrel band, and it's going to be sub $100, but it doesn't have too much padding, but just enough to separate you from the cold on the ground or whatever. So
color is more important, and where you're going to shoot at is more important.
I have no black on my mat.
Yeah.
Period. I don't want black. It's too hot.
If you're going to shoot way up north where it's super cold and you're going to be laying prone in snow all day long, then yeah, you want something thicker. You want to be able to block the body heat. I did a video on an accordion one. I can't remember who makes it, but it works really well because it's wide. So you have some room to put your paperwork. That's the important part for me, is being able to keep my body off the ground and have room to write stuff down and get information and all that without being in the dirt or rocks. And yeah, his shooting mat's going to be nice when it comes out. Did you guys see Chicken Little nailing the KYL? I did. Let's see. The kid is going to be crack shot when he grows into the young man. Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you chimed in, because Eagle Eye said that IOR Valdata was super low light transmission. It was like looking through a blue filter. And he has the latest, greatest offering from them. It's not a sniper. It's a stand-up rifle like a bullpup. I guess I'm missing this. I got a decent shooting mat from Primary Arms. It's fine. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Doug. I have a Doug Allen.
Yep.
That one works great. It's been working great. I will say that it's a little narrower than the last one I got. I think it's more important to have two good mats that you like. So one's drying, you can go to the range the next day and not have to worry about it. You know what I mean?
I seen Kenny hit a 250-yard steel with a 9mm 365 XL. Now there's a challenge for you. That's easy.
That's
easy peasy.
If Eagle Eye can do it, I can definitely do it.
All right, so I have the new Valdata G2 Mini. It is very similar to a Night Force NX8, except it goes from 4.5 to 28. Class is pretty similar. Going to do more testing. All right. If you don't, electromagnetic reverses energy to good, but it's the future. 10-inch steel. You know what? 10-inch steel at 250 with a 365 XL is actually a really good shot. You should be able to do that.
That's with the XL?
Yeah, with the XL.
Okay. I got I have the regular 365. Two of them.
I think we can push that out further. 300-ish. All right. I think we are all caught up.
All
It's
right.
11:10.
It's been almost 2 hours. Guys.
WBT.
What the hell? All right. You guys have a good night. I appreciate everybody showing up. Looked like we had quite a few people. If you get a chance, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And we'll see you guys next. Everybody have a good night. Gagbites, Eagle Eye, Idaho Rogers. All you guys have a wonderful, wonderful night. Stay safe.
Oh, what are we doing in the next week or two? We have a precision rimfire match coming up.
We do on August 21st.
Yep. Ray and Rick, we have designed the course, and Big Ivy Guns in Burnsville, North Carolina will be putting that on. So if you have a chance, come out and see us shoot the match. It is a PRS rimfire sanctioned event. And we're going to have some good prizes.
No problem.
We're going to have great prizes for their first match ever.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have a good night. Thanks again for showing up, and see you guys on the next video.
See ya.